Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sasquatch Watch Radio with your hosts, Billy Willard and the Blog Squatcher. Strap in, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down.
Welcome to another edition of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, March 2nd, 2009. We have a wonderful guest, or we had a wonderful guest lined up tonight, and I'm hoping he'll call in here shortly. Mr. Hugh Phillips from West Virginia. We'll give him some time to call in here. I haven't seen him in the chat yet, so maybe he's running a little late coming home from work. But anyway, before we get on with that, we will get our great, awesome, and articulate Mr. Blog Squatcher on the line.
Well, thank you very much, Billy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very fine. How are you?
Excellent. And we should tell everybody that we're both using new headsets tonight. Yeah,
so please let us know. Everybody was complaining about my sound and how I was sounding on the radio. So let me know if this boom microphone is working a whole lot better than my other one. That'll be great, and that means I won't have to take it back.
Exactly. Well, I've got a couple of news stories for us to start out with. Now, the first news story, probably most people caught on to this because it's been blogged by other people too. But a famous filmmaker by the name of David Attenborough, who, if you're like over 30 or 35, you certainly know who that is. A lot of the shows we watched in the 70s and early 80s, and it actually goes back into the 60s too. About wildlife and nature and what have you. A lot of them were filmed by David Attenborough, so we know him really well. Well, he was on a talk show in Britain with a guy by the name of Jonathan Ross, a really famous talk show over there. And he said, and I'll just read the quote here, "I'm baffled by the abominable snowman. Very convincing footprints have been found at 1,900 feet. No one does that for a joke. I think it's unanswered." And later someone quoted him as saying that he found that evidence to be convincing, that it was convincing evidence. And I think, that's pretty newsworthy when another one of these, celebrities comes out and they've looked at the evidence and they say that it's good evidence and they want to know more about it. I think that's good for us.
Right. I agree.
Yes, indeed. So we're getting a little bit of, I would call that good press. I'm sure there's a lot of people. I've already read one guy who wrote a skeptical thing on that, which I didn't copy it and can't remember it well enough to quote it, but I'm sure there'll be more of that. People will take it as an opportunity to bash Bigfoot research a little bit more, but it also is another voice. You have Jane Goodall, you got David Attenborough, you have plenty of other people who are kind of legit and credentialed, right, saying that they have an interest in Bigfoot, or in his case, in the Yeti. So right. I think that's good for us.
Right.
So that's the first bit of news. There's also another bit of news that I was interested in. It's not directly, it's not really about Bigfoot. It's about ancient man, and because anthropologists didn't really know when human-style walking evolved, and a lot of them had theorized that it evolved pretty recently as things go, like somewhere in the hundreds of thousands of years ago. But recently, someone found some footprints, and they look like modern human feet, although their age shows that they would have been on a precursor to human. It wouldn't have been a human being. It would have been like, the one just before, which I can't recall what they were calling it, and I don't have it written out here, but 1.5 million years ago, a creature that would eventually evolve into Homo sapiens is walking with modern human-looking feet and with a modern human-looking gait, which means that human-style walking had to evolve before that,
Right.
1.5 million years ago. And before that, no telling how long before that, there was already this kind of walking going on. So that's interesting, and it might have an impact on, theories about how Bigfoot could be walking in such a similar fashion to the way that humans walk. If that evolved much further back, then, it's maybe not so incredible that they're doing much the same thing.
Right. Yep.
So those are your 2 news bits for this evening. So the question now is, have we got our guest?
I have not seen our guest yet. So
all right, then.
We are just going to have to find something to talk about until he gets here.
That's good. I remember when we first started this show, I was really nervous about this thing happening, right? What's happening right now. That a guest wouldn't show up. And I thought, well, we'll just develop a whole bunch of things that we could do if that ever happens. But, over the intervening time with it never actually happening, I have lost that document and forgotten anything that I wrote in it. So I got nothing for us right now.
We'll come up with something. We'll come up with something.
Maybe there are some guests who are listening who have something that they want to talk about, maybe something they've seen in the news or something that they're interested in, and they would call in and we can start discussing it, call it kind of like an open phone show until our guest shows up.
We could do that, kind of a round table open mic type thing.
Sure.
But, folks, feel free to call in. The phone number is 347-237-5070. Again, it's 347-237-5070. Feel free to call in. We'll talk about anything. Well, almost anything. There's a few things we'll discuss.
We're not going to talk about Tom Biscardi.
No, we're not.
No. So if you want to talk about Tom Biscardi, just don't even touch the phone, because we're not going to talk about that.
That's right. Every time I think about that, I get sick to my stomach. So
exactly.
Staying away from that whole subject altogether.
Hey, what? Go ahead. You got something?
Well, no, I was just going to mention, give everybody an update of our little Catharp in Virginia thing. Went there. We only had one video on the camera last week. Wasn't nothing of any interest on the video. We've now got our camera set up near Bob's house and kind of monitoring that area where he saw the creature now at this point. So, but nothing really new to add. Just ongoing, going out there and just checking it, checking things out every weekend. But so far, nothing. That's the update, and it's not a good one.
Yeah.
Update.
But, if it was a good one, if you came on the show every week talking about how there's Bigfoot all around that place, that would mean that it was not true.
I know.
That's not what they do. They show up sporadically and in an unpredictable way.
Yep, that's right. Oh, my goodness. I just heard some bad news. Understand that the little diner is closed over there in Ohio, which is close to the Ohio conference.
But you don't mean the famous diner, do you?
The diner with the little lady that Bruce likes. I'm sorry, Bruce.
Oh.
Oh my
God! I have to give him a minute to compose himself.
Yeah, we'll give you a few minutes, Bruce, if you want to come in, and we need to give you some condolences, or some, maybe a little cheer up or something. I know that really is bothering you and all, but man, I swear. We better be careful. He'll call in with some curse words or something.
Yeah. Is this the one where he got that gigantic steak?
No, that's the one in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
This one in Ohio is right outside the park, and it's just a little diner off the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Good food to have. Serve breakfast all day.
Yeah.
And of course you can. I love those, man.
I do too.
Ain't there like the middle of the day sometimes you just feel like having some breakfast?
Yeah, especially if you've been tromping out in the woods all night and you didn't get up in time for breakfast. You still want your breakfast.
That's right.
So those places that stay open and still serve breakfast, they're like your favorite.
Well, we were in Ohio. It was me, JC, Tom, there was a bunch of us out there. We woke up that morning and we had planned on getting a group together and just go out and do some hiking out there, and lo and behold, Bruce was missing. I'm like, well, so we go out and we go hiking around. Of course, we come back and here he is, and he's like, I think y'all have like a little secret society or something. Like y'all don't want me around. I said, Bruce, you disappeared, dude. Nobody knew where you went. We're talking about you, Bruce. You gonna come on and defend yourself?
Yeah, gonna have to. It's only gonna get worse from here.
Oh my goodness. That's what happens when you don't have a guest. You just kind of go off on a rant.
Yeah, that's about all we can do.
Yeah. All right, folks. Somebody call in. We got to have a subject to talk about. 347-237-5070. What you got, DB? Did you see something?
Yeah, there's a guy named Hiker11 who said he wanted to call in from Canada, but he can't get through. He wants to talk about the tracks he found in the snow.
Oh, man, yeah. We hope you can get through. Okay, we got hold on a minute. I think we got one here.
Got a live one. Reel it in.
I believe we have a Skype caller. You're on the air.
Billy Willard.
Yes.
This is a very black day for me. Very, very black day.
That must be Bruce.
Hi, Hugh. How you doing? I cannot.
Great.
You have no idea the level of depression I'm feeling right now. This is just.
Well, look at it this way. At least it wasn't the townhouse in Pennsylvania. So, so you can still get the 32-ounce steak. However, when you come to Ohio, I do understand that. Well, you probably got her phone number. You could probably call her and have her make you some pancakes or something.
I'm sure she would, too. It's not the same, though.
Yeah. Well, you can have her come out to the cabin.
Oh,
I'm sure
there's some innuendo there.
I'm sure her husband would not like that, Bill. He's a big man, too, all right?
Yeah, I saw him. He is a pretty big man.
Yeah.
She's a very little woman.
I hope he's not a listener to this show.
I'm going to kick Bruce's butt.
No, I've actually met him. He's a nice guy. I try to keep on his good side. Hugh, I don't know if you've ever eaten at this little diner, but it's been kind of a, part of the whole Salt Fork experience for years.
Right.
And one of the things and Salt Fork is pretty remote. If you're staying at the lodge or the cabins, you're roughly about 7 miles from the main road and about 20-something miles from Cambridge, which is the nearest town. So either you eat at the lodge, and it's not cheap to eat at the lodge, or you go to this diner, which is just down the road. It's really pretty convenient. And the food is okay. But what I liked about it was that, you hear a lot of Bigfoot stories there from just the locals, because that's where all the locals go.
Right.
And over the years, I've just, got some great leads and just heard some really incredible eyewitness accounts just from normal people who wouldn't really talk about it,
Yep.
So, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is a shame. I mean, and Bruce is right. I mean, even the menu, the menu is limited at the lodge, and they had some some unique items in that restaurant actually.
Yeah, that's where Ron had his all-you-can-eat catfish dinner.
That's right.
That's right, Ron Catfish Schaffner.
Yep, that's right.
So, Willard, regarding this super secret Sasquatch society, I feel I need to make a few comments about that.
All right.
So it is true. These guys had a cabin. I shared a cabin with them, and I was really excited to go squatching with these guys. And I would ask them, okay, so when you guys getting up tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. So when you guys want to have breakfast? Whenever we get up. Okay. What's the plan for tomorrow? Are we going to go to Host X Cave? Are we going to go to the picnic area? I don't know. We're going to wing it. So I get up like 5:30. I go gas up my car. I come back and they took off. No note. Nothing. I don't hear anything from anybody. Where did these guys go? You'd think, the guys you're rooming with, they'd leave you a little note. Hey, Bruce, we're going to the picnic area or whatever. No, nothing. I try to call him. I finally get a hold of JC at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's pouring rain, and then JC's all ticked off because I guess you guys went for a walk, got lost, no flashlight, walking around Salt Fork, and then he hangs up on me, and I don't hear from him again. Next time I see you guys, you're soaking wet, and you've gone off on this big, on this squatching expedition during the day. So that's why I think that Willard and his boys have that super secret Sasquatch society that only certain people can get in. If you're in, you're in, but if you're not, you're not.
All I know is JC's making accusations online saying that you're lying, Bruce.
Well, and I do want to say what I heard about that was that Bruce's cot actually had not been slept in that night.
Yeah, he's awful good at making a bed, All I know is it didn't look disturbed at all.
What do you mean? I slept? Well, because I was up late, and I think I dozed off on the sofa. That's probably why.
He thinks he dozed off on the sofa. Do you hear that?
Well, I heard some other theories advanced on exactly why that would have occurred. But I guess we'll go with your story. Because we don't want that guy, who's listening, or some other guy who's listening to say, "You better not come back to Ohio."
That's right.
I know it's tough. These guys, I'm telling you, they got their own little circle. So, hats off to you if you're in there, Hugh, because obviously I'm not. I'm an outsider.
Well, I don't know if Hugh's out there listening or not, but we're sitting here just goofing off until he shows up. Hugh,
Yeah.
if you're out there and you hear us, the number is 347-237-5070. 347-237-5070. I've been keeping my eyes on my MySpace. I know he usually reaches me there, and I haven't seen him yet, so he's probably running late from work or something, maybe the weather. I don't know what kind of work he does. Maybe he plows snow.
or Billy, maybe you ditched him too, just like you ditched me.
No, I wouldn't do that. I've never ditched a guest. Never done that in my life. Uh-oh, we got somebody calling in. Let's see.
All right.
This may be him. Caller from the 918 area code. You're on the air.
Hello, Billy. This is Ed Smith from Oklahoma.
Hey, Ed. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I don't really have a subject to talk about, but after seeing the Monster Quest episode with the 360 lens, remember that one?
Yep.
We bought one of those, and we have just modified a Toshiba night vision camera that will actually work with an adapter onto that lens, and it's producing some interesting results as far as video results, not any creature or anything like that. But I just wanted to pass that information along that we did that for about in the 2000, well, a little bit over about $2,200 area. So that's kind of a interesting little tech tip, I guess, of the thing. So
well, that's cool. So you were able to find an adapter to hook it.
I'm gonna put all that information together in a list and post it out on Mid America Bigfoot site in
all right, cool.
the tech section. And it's pretty interesting. You can get the live video from it, and if you had something happen, then you can take the frames because you're only running it like 18 frames a second,
right?
Instead of the full video. You can take those frames out and then run it through their software, which unzips them, and then rematch those frames back together and get the motion out of it. That's what we've done so far as a test.
Very cool.
And we've suspended it upside down in between two trees on a parallel wire cable that gives it some stability, so you don't get a whole lot of wind or vibration, joshing type motion.
Right.
It's pretty steady.
Right.
So it's a pretty, inexpensive little night vision thing that works pretty well and not on the IR principle. So
right.
I just wanted to pass that along.
Oh, I appreciate it, and yeah, once you get that information up,
I'll send you an email, and once I get that information put together and put on the forum.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Ed.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later. Have a great show.
All right, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that's interesting, DB.
Yes, and with the money that we're raking in with this show, we should be able to afford that in about 30 years.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, joke around, okay.
Well, I don't have a spare $2,200 in my pocket right at this moment, but when I turn it up, that would be one of the things I would want to get, because that seriously would be a good camera to have, because you can't sneak up on that camera, right? I mean, there's no sneaking up on it. It's 360.
Well,
but of course, we still got to get a thermal. So
right.
I guess there's
if we all had the money that Bruce has, we would have it. And
Yeah.
I know. You know, that's why we need to let him into the secret Sasquatch Society, because we could then use his money.
That's right. That's right.
All my money is in prime rib futures. I'm sorry, it's all tied up.
Well, at least he's truthful. Say that.
Well, you're never getting in now.
I don't know what we're going to do at Don's conference now that the restaurant's closed.
Oh, we'll
You're
come
gonna
up
have to bring
with
your own
something.
food.
Unfortunately, you're going to have to just deal with the Lodge restaurant. I'm sorry, bud. 25 miles to Cambridge is a little steep, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. Although I was ready to do it with Don that night back in November.
Yeah.
There's a Denny's in Cambridge.
Yeah.
At about 12:30 a.m. It sounded kind of good.
Yeah. Well, Denny's is open all the time, so you never know. You might have to do that.
Yeah.
But we gotta. I guess we'll have to. We'll have to weigh it out. It's a shame though. I would have thought that the locals would have been given that place enough business to keep it open, but maybe everybody has had to hold on to their money.
Yeah. Well, the recession's hitting everyone pretty hard.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But all right, folks, 347-237-5070. We're running out of material.
The Sasquatch Watch Comedy Hour. Please join in.
All right, we got another caller on the line. Caller from the 740 area code. You're on the air.
It's a black day in Bruce's history.
Don, the Donster.
How are you doing, Don?
I'm not doing too bad. How about you guys? I know how Bruce is doing.
I've had better days, Don. I've had better days.
Yeah, I know you have. Somebody asked me the other day when Eric and them were over here, they said, did you tell Bruce? And I said, did I tell Bruce? What are you talking about? About the restaurant. I said, oh, no, I never thought about that, but I might have to break the news to him sooner or later. Well, I guess it was sooner than later.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, it's not funny, though. I really hate to do it because that was a good restaurant. They had some really good prices there. They had some good-sized portions for your buck, and it was a nice place to go and get a bite to eat instead of driving all the way back to Cambridge. But I guess we have to drive all the way back to Cambridge.
Yeah,
or we can.
That is a real shame. You're right, Don, man. I remember looking at the prices on their menu. I was like, my God, can they really sell it for this?
Yeah.
That's why they had to close the doors. I mean, the stuff was really cheap.
Yeah, well, Scott was just mentioning, he said Mr. G's sells pizza, and Mr. G's is midway between the main entrance for Salt Fork and I-77, so that wouldn't be too bad. I guess that would be the next option if we don't want to drive all the way back to Cambridge. So,
right.
But hey guys, a couple things. Number one, because of the closing of the restaurant, the conference is canceled. Not.
Yeah, come on now. Don't be doing that to us. What are you trying to do? Put us into the psychologist?
into the psych ward. No, but conference is coming along good. We got 3 speakers. Of course, Mr. Billy Willard, we have him, and we've got Diane Stalking, who's also in the chat room. And as of now, we do have Mr. Doug Hychek. He has confirmed, but we're not 100% sure on him until about the weekend of the conference, due to the fact that he said he'll be there unless something happens to come up. So I do have a couple of backup speakers lined up. I'm not going to mention who they are unless we need them. So, but right now those are our three main speakers, you know. So I'm sure you guys are all do a fine job, and if you don't, well, anyway.
I think you should have the owner of that restaurant speak at your conference, because I think we are all owed an apology for them closing their doors, right before your conference.
The thing about it, they do have for sale signs up on the outside of the restaurant there by the door. So they may have a new owner, and it may be back open. You know, that's 2 months from today. So it may be open by the time the conference rolls around. You don't know, but hopefully, if it is, it won't cost an arm and two legs to get in there and grab a bite to eat. You know.
I've seen those for sale signs, but I thought they meant the food.
No. They've got for sale signs on the outside of the the door, right there on the main entrance now. So it's closed down. They had a closed sign right there at the door, and it's for now out of business. For now, anyway.
We should get together some contributions, and maybe we could purchase it and make it like a Sasquatch clubhouse or something.
Okay, go right ahead. Yeah, that'd be if you're gonna move here from Boston, you might as well go all out, right? You're gonna be looking for the little girl. What's her name? Bruce?
Michelle.
That I knew he'd know it. You're gonna be looking for her to be your secretary there at the Bigfoot Clubhouse or whatever. But I know everybody listening wants to hear some serious information, so I'll give you some serious information. We've also just received another report of an apparent close encounter with a Bigfoot-type creature. I don't know what the distance between the critter and the person who's seen it was. I do know that it took place on the 26th of February at approximately 3 a.m. in north central Ohio. Wow. And I should be going out in that direction this coming Sunday to interview the eyewitness. So for those of you who received my newsletter, the March issue was just mailed out today via PDF and an email. And those of you who receive it as a hard copy in the regular postal service mail, it should be in the mail this weekend. And as far as the sighting is concerned, if it appears to be legitimate, and what I've heard by a couple of people who have talked to the fella, it appears to be very legitimate, then there will be some photos of the area as well as hopefully a pretty good report regarding the sighting. And if I understand it correctly, the guy may have seen this thing as close as 15 to 20 feet away.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it was just recent. I mean, February 26th was last Thursday night. Yep. And the thing is, it's so far from me. It's like a 2.5 to 3 hour drive to the west. But I'm willing to go out there because it sounds like it's a pretty good report. I've seen somebody in the newsletter, or in the newsletter, somebody in the chat room ask when the conference was. It's May 2nd. There's a full weekend of events lined up. Go to eobic.net, click on the link for the 21st Annual Bigfoot Conference, and then go there, and you'll see the lineup of the events. Friday, the meet and greet. Saturday, the conference. Sunday, the guided tour throughout the park. And those of you who are interested in my newsletter, Henry just put my email address in there. Drop me an email. I'll send you a sample copy as an Adobe PDF. Yep, Adobe PDF as well as a subscription form. But fellas, it's been real. It's been fun, but I don't know that it's been real fun.
Hey, Don,
yes.
Before you go, can I ask you a question?
No.
What is it about this sighting that, you've heard plenty of eyewitness accounts. What is it about this one that makes you think that it's more credible or has more credibility than, other sightings that you've heard in the past?
First off, it was reported to an organization in Northern Ohio who shares information with us. And these guys that are in charge of this organization, the 2 or 3 guys that are kind of really involved in it, I would say they're about the biggest skeptics that I know. And the one guy talked to the eyewitness on the phone for 40 minutes. And after he talked to him, he was pretty convinced that the guy had seen what he claims to have seen. And furthermore, he said that if no one else had gone to the area, he would go down there and investigate it himself. And he lives up in Cleveland, and for Cleveland, it's about a 2.5-hour drive. So and that area of Ohio also, it doesn't have a long history of reports, but it does have a history of reports. And the reports that are coming out of that area from time to time, it's not some place where you would expect something to stay on a regular basis, but it is some place where there have been some really good tracks discovered, as well as some really interesting sighting reports have come out of that area. So for that information to just come out of the blue, and those reports from back in the 70s and 80s from that vicinity are not on the internet. So for someone to report this information and be so willing as to have people come down and check it out, in person, it seems to be legit. So that's MNBRT was asking me if there's any aggressive reports. I don't know if you're talking about recently or throughout the history of Ohio reports that I know of. Back in 1978, up in the area known as Minerva, Ron Schaffner can relate to this. There was a long history of, or a long summer, 1978, from Minerva called the Minerva Monster. And the one fella, this family lived in a mobile home park just on the west side of Minerva on US Route 30. And they had a long summer of when this creature supposedly was harassing this family. There wasn't anybody else in the mobile home park. It was just this one family for whatever reason near this mobile home park. At one point in time, this guy, the younger fella, I forget what his name was. I know what their last name was, but I forget his first name. He claimed to have gone up towards the woods where the creature was located because they had been hearing noises up in there. And he went up in there, and supposedly, and I don't know how much faith I would put into this report. If Ron's still in the chat room, he could possibly chime in on it. But supposedly he was grabbed or bitten on one of the shoulders by what they claimed was a Bigfoot creature. That's the only thing that I know of that would be aggressive behavior towards people in any of the Ohio reports to my knowledge. So, I mean, I don't know how much faith to put into that. I know that there was a lot of activity up there, and I know that Ron Schaffner tends to put that in the upper up, and as far as reports are concerned, and his believability factor. So, Ron, call in. If I'm wrong on any of this, I'm more than willing to be corrected. But I'm going by memory, and that's about as short as my little finger nowadays. But that's what I can think of offhand, and as far as the one and only report of aggressive behavior towards humans, and as far as Ohio reports are concerned.
Ron's probably too busy terrorizing catfish all over the Ohio borderlands.
Well, he lives close to the Ohio River,
Yeah.
So he might, I mean, it's 14 degrees here in Cambridge right now, so he might be out there. I don't know, it's maybe about 20 down there. Maybe he's fishing. I don't know.
Those catfish.
Hey, DB, this is great, man. We don't need no material.
That's if he don't want to call in, we're just going to give him a roast on the radio. That's all there is to it.
Well, every time Ron bites into a hamburger, like a sigh of relief ripples through the catfish community. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, guys, we got a caller on. I don't think it's Ron, though, but we'll find out who it is. Caller from the 804 area code. You're on the air. Someone in Virginia.
It's deceptive, Billy. This is William in Taos, New Mexico.
Oh, my gosh, that is deceptive.
Using deception. Yeah, it is deception. I've been looking forward to your semi-annual dining episode quite a bit.
Good.
I think that might have been a poke at our material or lack of it.
I think so.
Well, what have you brought?
I got taken out to lunch today for my 61st birthday. So tequilas here. I had Mexican. So that's enough about dining. I do have a suggestion for a future topic, which would be speculation on migratory patterns of Sasquatch.
That's a good idea. Thank you very much.
Because I do have a sense that they leave here part of the time in the winters. I don't have anything to back it up.
Right.
They would probably head south towards Mexico for several months in the winter.
What, Tijuana? Is that what you're saying?
Well, maybe. I don't know. The drug wars, maybe not. Maybe they would avoid it.
If we go to Tijuana between, November and March, we're going to see a whole boatload of Sasquatches down there having tequila.
Hey, yeah. Everybody's talking about temperatures. It was 66 here today.
Wow.
Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boo hiss.
That's unusual, though. Heat wave. The Taos heat wave.
No, you're from from New Mexico? Is that where you're
I'm from Culpeper originally.
Culpeper.
Yeah, he's from here in Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to see that as a topic of future discussion.
I thank you for the suggestion. We will definitely.
I'll let you guys stumble on.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
I think we should have a topic about Tijuana as well. I can't wait for that.
Don't go any further, Bruce. Don't go any further.
Yeah, we're going to stop it right there.
Save yourself a little.
Save yourself some. On the line. Let me get this one in. I think we have another Skype caller on the line. You're on the air.
Skype caller?
Yeah, Skype caller.
Nah, I don't think so. How about
I know who that is.
How about Time Warner phone?
Is that Catfish Ron?
Shaft
Oh,
Bro.
yes, it is. I heard what you said, Bruce. I was calling to get on you more than I was to answer Don's question.
I'm happy to hear that.
Don,
Ron,
I only caught bits and pieces of what you were talking about at Minerva. Did you say something about somebody getting bitten?
Well, that was one of the sons who claimed to have been bit on the shoulder by a Bigfoot, wasn't it?
I don't think that was the Minerva case. That I recall. That might have been something else up there.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Minerva case was about the dog was killed.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Killed in the tunnel. Right.
Yeah, I some reason I don't know. I'd have to look. Maybe I don't know where Pilich's book is right now. I'm not sure if it's here or if it's at my other house at New Cumberstown. But, yeah, I for some dumb reason that seems to stick out in my mind. But maybe I'm, like I said, my memory is about as short as my little finger nowadays. But hey, I'm going to answer that.
Somebody reporting on some case where somebody got bitten. I do remember that, but I can't quite place where it was.
Okay, well, at least the biting part I recall, but maybe the town is incorrect. I don't know. I wanted to answer the question real quick, and then I'm going to hang up and let you guys have at it. Somebody asked if tornadoes like mobile home parks. Tornadoes are indiscriminate. When it comes to tornadoes, you had better cross your fingers, bend over, and kiss your butt goodbye if you're in the path of one, or find a place to hide real darn quick, because the only reason that it seems like a tornado likes a mobile home park, think about it. Mobile homes are basically cracker boxes on their sides. And when it comes to high winds, they are bye-bye.
Those hold down straps don't do too good of a job in a tornado.
They don't do. The hold down straps may end up staying in the ground, and the mobile home may be blown away as it is. But no, it's tornadoes. Mother Nature is indiscriminate. She doesn't give a rat's tail if it's sunny and 75 with low humidity, or if it's a 320-mile-per-hour F5 tornado going down through the middle of San Antonio, Texas, killing people every 15 seconds. When you're at the mercy of Mother Nature, you enjoy what you can when it's nice, and when it's nasty, you had better take heed and do what you can to save your tail to make sure tomorrow is another day for you, because I've seen way too many stories, as a lot of people on the TV have, that,
well,
I
had a friend in Oklahoma. His house actually was blown away by a tornado, but he didn't complain because he actually ended up in a better neighborhood. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
There's a few neighborhoods down here I wish a tornado come by.
Anyway,
I could say the same around here in Manassas.
I'm sure all of us could say the same thing in all the locations we're in right now. So, I'll let you guys go. Hey, it's good talking to you again, Romster, and everybody take care, be cool, or whatever this saying is. I don't know. It's one of those days anyway.
We'll try to get up there, Don.
Hey, hopefully you'll be able to make it up for the conference, Ron.
I'm going to try.
Hey, Don, if you need any help putting together a menu for the conference, let me know. All right, I have some suggestions.
The only thing you'd have on the menu, Bruce, is a 32-ounce steak. What are you kidding?
Add along with the chocolate mousse pie.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Bring a grill and throw some steaks on the grill.
Hey, Billy, did we tell the story about how embarrassing Bruce was when he was at the lodge back at Salt Fork back in November?
Well, I don't.
We didn't tell that story, did we?
I don't know if I like this story, Ron or Don.
I'd
like to hear it.
Yeah. Well, there's one vote. Billy, I'll hang up. You tell the story, but it was kind of.
No, I want you to tell it, Don. Go ahead.
Yep. Well, you don't remember the dessert on top of the salad?
What?
Yeah.
You know what? I do recall that. You're right.
That's right. Bruce was sitting there. He had eaten the 64-ounce steak, or was it 32? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was still kicking when he got it. He had eaten the steak, and he was sitting there, and he had a salad in front of him, and the waitress comes out and says, "Would you all like any dessert?" And Billy looks over at whoever, JC, I don't know who all was sitting there, and we all said, "No, I don't think so," Bruce says, "Yeah, I'll take whatever it was." And I'm like, "Dude, you still got this gargantuan salad sitting in front of you." "Well, that's okay. I'll be able to eat it." Now, do you remember that, Billy?
Yeah, I do remember. We were sitting there talking to Scott, remember?
That's right. I kid you not. I am not kidding about that.
I forgot about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don,
he had just gotten back from the diner.
Yeah, actually, that's true. That's a true story. I did just get back from the diner.
That is absolutely true.
They hadn't eaten yet, so I decided to join them for dinner at the lodge.
On top of what he had at the diner 15 minutes before that.
I just want to know
you have
if
a very
Bruce had a test
memory.
for gastrointestinal parasites.
Tapeworm.
Okay. Hey, how far are you from Providence, Rhode Island, Bruce?
About an hour.
An hour?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a little heads up. I may be out there sometime this summer or early fall. A friend of mine, Matt Moniz from...
I know Matt. I know the ghost hunter.
Right.
Yeah, I know Matt.
He invited me to come out sometime this summer, and I told him how much of a fan I was of the show, TAPS, Ghost Hunters. He's really, really, really good friends with those guys, and we might have some stuff going on just to visit with them and chat with them and get a chance to meet Jason and Grant. So
well, just let me know when you're. Give me a heads up when you're going to be in the neighborhood, and we'll grab a dinner or something.
That sounds good.
I got some great steak places.
I figured you would. I'm going to get off here. You guys be good, and I'll talk to you all later.
Thanks for calling, Don.
Later, Don.
Hey, we'll see you.
All right, we got another caller on the line. We'll bring them on. Caller from the 765 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, Billy.
How you doing?
It's Dr. Onion.
How are you doing?
I'm well. I just wanted to say that John Cartwright is the best Bigfoot hunter in the world.
Oh, God. DB. You know what?
How much are you getting for that?
We need to have a rule about the JC and the best Bigfoot hunter in the world thing.
We need to get a T-shirt printed up. See how many we can sell.
That's a good point. We might be able to sell a lot of those.
Of course, we wouldn't give any of the money to JC.
Dr. Onion, where are you from?
How much did you get paid for that? Come on.
Lots of laughs. Oh, my goodness. Very, very funny, guys.
That is a good one.
Is Dr. Onion from your neck of the woods? Is that why she knows JC?
No.
I'm from Indiana.
Indiana. They got electricity down there?
Occasionally on every third Tuesday, and the third Monday of every second month.
Oh, goodness.
Now, how did you get a name like Dr. Onion? Are you actually a doctor?
No, actually, I'm a physics student. I'm going to graduate in May with my bachelor's in physics, and I really like onions. And my husband, Jerry, say hi, Jerry. Hi. He gave me the nickname Dr. Onion because he says I like onions so much I eat them on my pancakes, which I don't.
Wow. Well,
so I liked it. I thought,
here's a little bit of trivia for you. Now, my hometown, Canastota, New York, used to be at one time the largest onion-producing town in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, one year we had the Onion Olympics, if you can actually believe it.
The Onion Olympics.
The Onion Olympics. I know, it's kind of embarrassing now, but back then it was kind of, you know,
I took that bird all day.
what you did.
I just
I don't know if you've never heard of that at all.
Never.
You're lucky.
Yeah. I don't know. I might enjoy the Onion Olympics.
Bruce probably knows about it because he puts them on his steak.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You don't have them on your pancakes?
No, not on my pancakes. I like to have pancakes on my pancakes, actually.
You'd put steak on your pancakes.
So you can eat a 2-pound steak and live to tell about the day?
I think reports of 2-pound steak eating is a little exaggerated. These guys make a big deal about it, but I don't really eat that much. I have a normal appetite. They just
for what? An elephant or a bear?
Hold on a minute. What is there? Where is there an exaggeration? Okay, do we need to take you back to measurement school? 32 ounce, if I remember correctly, is 2 pounds.
Yeah, but Billy, that's 32 ounces before cooking.
I don't know about that.
All right then.
It might be more.
Plus, that was bone in, so that bone's got to be what? 18
Part of
ounces.
the 2 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Onion, don't listen to these people. I mean, they're just trying to...
Make me laugh. It's working.
They're trying to tarnish my good name.
It's all true, Bruce, and you know it.
Oh, God, I got a headache now.
I will say, though, at Pitzer's, so one night I had the steak and the crab legs, and Diane Stocking in the chat room was there that night. I had the crab legs and a steak, and actually she had a couple of crab legs. And that was really the only time that I ever... Oh, that was the night I had the chocolate mousse. But other than that, that really was the only time I actually ate probably more than I normally do. These guys make it sound like, you know, I'm just an eating machine. That's just an embellishment.
All I know is he can put me under the table, and I like food. That's all I know.
So do you eat one meal a day, all day long?
Well, you know, they say that if you eat continuously throughout the day, it keeps your metabolism in high gear. So I subscribe to that theory.
You know, I've heard a lot about that. I got somebody at work that tells me the same thing. Yeah, you should eat every 3 hours. I'm like, no, believe me, I don't need to eat every 3 hours.
Well, the downside of it is, because I love red meat. You know, I'm not a vegetable eater at all because it's a personal choice. I'm a meatitarian.
Carnivore.
I'm sorry, I just saw what Kite Squatch wrote.
And plus, I don't believe that you should be cruel to vegetables. That's why you should eat like steak. So, one of the downsides of being a meat eater is that, you know, my doctor told me that I have the cholesterol of a walrus, so I should cut back. But I wanted a second opinion, so he said, "Fine, go get a second opinion." So I asked my butcher, and he said I was fine.
DB, is he a comedian or what?
Well, he's something. And he's something else, too.
I would like to know how your butcher checks your cholesterol level.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Onion, that was a joke.
I know.
Okay, I'm just checking there. There's nothing more to say about that now because it was a joke.
Goodness, Bruce.
Well, hey, you know what? I like to keep it interesting, you know?
Yeah, you do.
It's always an adventure when you go out with a creature seeker.
That's right.
I wonder if anybody that we have on the line right now could tell us kind of like a Bigfoot or Sasquatch story that we haven't heard.
I've got one for you.
All right.
All right.
Recently, I had a fella call me from the woods, and this is a true story. He was a witness that I had, it was around October, I went out and investigated his sighting. I'll tell you about the sighting first, and then I'll tell you about the woods. He was driving a propane delivery truck, and he was backing down the driveway, and he said it was about a mile long. And he saw it cross the road behind him, the drive, whatever you want to call it, through his rearview mirror, and he stopped and got out and looked at it. And it stepped into the center of the road, looked at him, and crossed to the other side. And he told me that he thought it was about 200 yards away. So I went out to the location, and I measured it with my GPS, and it was 1,214 feet from where he was to the location of where the creature crossed the road, through a rear view mirror, and there was an elevation difference between the two ends. And so I'm pretty sure that he saw a person cross the road to go to the bathroom. And I hypothesized that because I went down to the other end of the road and talked to the family there, and their house had burnt down. And the day that the sighting happened, they had the construction crew there demolishing the house.
And the construction crew are big furry guys?
I would imagine so. But, you know, from 1,214 feet away, that's a little over a quarter of a mile. You're not going to be able to differentiate that from anything, hardly.
Yeah, that's some good eyesight, I have to say.
Through a rearview mirror, which
Right.
is going to add some footage to that.
That's right.
Well, was it one of those that says things may be larger than they appear or whatever?
Well, no, it was his. It was not a parabolic mirror because it was the flat mirror on the driver's side.
Right.
So, yeah. And so he calls me the next week from the woods up at Ball State. Ball State owns the woods north of Muncie. And he said it was in the middle of a thunderstorm. And he calls to tell me that he's being followed by at least 3 Bigfoot.
Oh,
and they were grunting at him.
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
And he holds the phone out for me to listen to them.
What'd you hear?
Rain!
Well, they wasn't just grunting at you; they were spitting at you.
I reckon.
Wow. You know, Dr. Onion, you should forward this stuff to Tom Biscardi. He loves it. He eats this stuff right up.
Hey.
you said the B word.
Say that name.
That
You broke your own rule, dude.
You're gonna have to mute that guy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to ban that guy.
Hey, I've been banned before, but usually from restaurants, though.
Yeah, we can imagine.
Eating too much?
Well, apparently, when you go to a restaurant and they have a buffet, now this is kind of a pet peeve of mine. If you're gonna have a buffet and there's gonna be a time limit, you gotta tell people up front. Look, you can't be here 4 hours. Look, if the buffet is all you can eat, and you don't say, oh, it's all you can eat within 2 hours, then if you're there for 4 hours, I don't think they should say anything about it.
I don't know. DB, could you actually sit in there and eat for 4 hours? There's just no way. Come on, man.
Well, you gotta pace yourself.
Yeah,
I couldn't, but maybe Bruce could.
Apparently Bruce can.
Well, guys, I am going to go, and I just want to say John Cartwright is the best Bigfoot hunter in the world.
Now he owes you double.
That's
he
right.
does.
All right.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Goodness sakes, JC, I swear.
I know.
All right, let's see who else we got here. Caller from 662 area code, you're on the air.
Well, you know who this is by now.
Oh, Henry May.
PM.
Yeah. Yeah, it's me. And by the way, as of 9:45 Eastern tonight, the chat has officially gone to hell.
Don't you mean as of 9:01 Eastern, it had gone to hell? I mean, as soon as the song ended, that was when the hell began.
I am worried. I am worried about Hugh though, because he had actually called JC and had called JC an hour before he had left from work. So I hope he's okay.
Maybe the power's out at his house.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, there is some people that's got down power. So
Wait, where's he from? He's from Virginia?
West Virginia.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah, well, not really.
Yeah, we got about an inch of snow Saturday night, late Saturday into early Sunday, but it was all melted by yesterday afternoon. So
yeah, I mean it was really weird here. Typically, the way the snow happened here was opposite of what usually happens. We usually get hit hard up in the valley and the mountains, but this time it was the exact opposite, and it stayed east of Interstate 95, so everyone east of 95 got hit. DB, who was up closer to Washington, D.C., got more snow than I did here.
Yes.
Which is odd. So we only got about 4 inches here in Manassas. But up in the northern part of Prince William, which is where 95 is at, my understanding was that they had 3 inches when I didn't have anything here, because we had somebody up in the woods at Prince William Forest Park, and he took his tape measure out and said, yeah, there's 3 inches. So,
yeah. Well, I wanted to comment on the story that DB read earlier referring to David Attenborough, and apparently it seems like he may be, well, maybe not necessarily a believer, but he does seem to he seems to have an open mind about the possibility of the Yeti existing. Peter Byrne, a few years ago, when he was interviewed on Bigfoot Central, he said that he believed that possibly the Yeti has died out and that there are no more in the Himalayas. So, because there haven't been as many sightings, lately.
Right. Well, how many people get up there?
Good point.
Right.
Well, I could understand if the Yeti were dying out around Ron, because if they lived on a diet of catfish, they'd probably be pretty scared right about now.
Yeah.
Well, you notice how everything
they like vegetables, Bruce.
Why does everything have to go back to food when it's
I know it.
All food, all the time. Sasquatch Watch Radio. Your all food channel. And weather.
But what I find interesting is that Peter Byrne and others have always said that the Yeti does not actually live up in the mountains themselves and up in the frozen tundra. They live in the temperate valleys down below. Even though you do see their footprints cross the frozen valleys from time to time, much as you saw the photograph by Eric Shipton from 1951.
Mhm. Yeah, it's. I read that article that y'all are talking about with the Yetis disappearing, or thinking that the Yetis have all died off. It's been a long time since I've heard anything from that area. I know we've got Ron in here, and Ron keeps up with that kind of stuff. Because he's also, I think Ron's a big historian too, similar to you, Henry.
Yeah, he is. He keeps up on stuff pretty well too. He does a great job. his website is still available on his Crypto Chronicles. I think that's what he calls it. Or
no, my website's not up anymore.
Oh, there you are, Ron.
Yeah, it's. I've been here. No, it's not. It's not on the net anymore. Had a little problem with Time Warner, and Roadrunner, and I still haven't resolved it.
Uh-oh.
So, anybody needs any information, just give me an email, and if they need some cases or something, just let me know.
Okay.
Cool.
And yeah, I did get
a lot of work putting it back up too.
Yeah. And I did get Don's newest newsletter. And apparently Nancy, who's in the chat room, did have a sighting back last month. She and her husband. So I thought that was interesting. It's in those of you who subscribe to Don's newsletter, you'll be able to read it, and you'll be able to see Nancy's sighting report in there. Very interesting stuff.
Cool. All right, let me grab this other caller real quick. See who we got here.
I'm gonna hang up, guys.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I got to go too, Billy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Ron. Thanks both
Talk
of
to y'all later.
Hey, guys, all take care.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep.
Night, Ron.
Bye-bye. And now we have a caller from the 253 area code. You're on the air.
Hi, it's me, Tiger Cat. I finally got through.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm doing just fine.
I was talking to my friends last night over at the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team, and back in 1976, I had a Bigfoot sighting up at Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Oh,
and it was really scary. It was really scary. I was 16 years old, and back then my parents had some friends that had some cabins up at Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and we used to go up there for a couple weeks in the summer, and there was about 9 of us kids, and we ranged in age from about 15 to about 23. And there was a place that we used to go down there. It's an old camp, like an old summer camp, and there's some old cabins there kind of up on this little hill with some trees around, and you can wade out in where we were down by Beauty Bay about 20 feet out, and it was only about up to your knees before it dropped off. So, and it was all clay, this hard clay. And so every day, because it was so freaky there, every day somebody would grab, two guys would grab somebody's arms and legs, and they'd go 1, 2, 3, and they'd throw them out in the water, and then everybody would run. You have to run up the hill, and it was all this blonde grass. And the hill went up, and then it banked to the left, and you could see the tree line. And they'd go running into the trees because it was just really freaky to be there by yourself, and they'd leave a towel and stuff. And it was funny. Well, back then when I was 16, I must have weighed about 90 pounds soaking wet, and it was my turn to go. So they walked me out, and they went 1, 2, 3, and they threw me way out there, and they waited to make sure that I had surfaced, and then everybody took off. They left me a towel and my shoes, my thongs. And my dad had always told us when we went there to watch for black bear. And he told us what to do if we saw one. He said, just stand still and try to stand downwind from it so it can't smell you.
Right.
And so I walked up onto the shore, and you kind of walk up this little hill. So you're actually standing up a little ways, and it kind of slopes down into this blonde grass. And I walked out of the water, and I thought, ha, yeah, very funny. And everybody had run up into the tree line. And out of the corner of my left eye, I saw this thing, and so I turned around and I was looking at it. I thought it was a bear.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself, you know what? I know I can get on top of this cabin if it turns around. I know I can climb that tree. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I could do it.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this thing stopped. It was probably, I'm going to guess and say it was between maybe 20, 30, maybe feet away from me. It was, it wasn't close, but it wasn't far. It was like halfway in the middle between the tree line. I turned around and it stood up, and I realized that it didn't have like bear paws. It had like these hands.
Right.
And it turned around and it looked at me. And this thing must have been about 8 feet tall, and it weighed about 900 pounds. I mean, this thing had legs the size of frickin' tree trunks.
Right.
I would guess its shoulders to be about maybe 5 feet across.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a female. It didn't look like a girl. It had kind of like real dark, black, reddish hair.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I mean, it wasn't like right up close to me. I mean, I could see its face. It had a face.
Right.
It was just kind of weird looking, I guess. So I actually left my shoes in the dirt in run position, and I bolted up the hill. I figured if this thing's going to come after, I didn't know what it was. My first thought was just to get the hell out. So I took off up the hill and bowled over 9 people on this little horse trail going back to the cabin. And I got back to the cabin, and I ran upstairs, and I was shaking at the bottom of my bed so hard the bed was bouncing off the floor.
Wow.
And my dad ran upstairs, and my mom ran upstairs. Then my mom started bitching at my sister because she thought my sister and her friends had freaked me out and done something to me. And there was just mass confusion downstairs in the cabin. Nobody knew what was going on.
Right.
And finally, they got me downstairs, and I started telling them what had happened.
Right.
And my dad went and grabbed a couple of the other guys, and they went, and finally, you know, they went back down. We went back down to where I saw this thing, and they had shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
And still, I mean, nobody really knew what was going on. And one of the guys had actually called the Bigfoot Society.
Right.
And they actually came down there. And the guy was asking my dad if it was okay to interview me because I was only 16.
Right.
And so my dad was standing right there while I was just telling what had happened. And my dad was about 6 foot, 6'1", weighed about maybe 200 pounds. And the other guys weighed about the same. One of the guys weighed about 230, I'd say. And they were jumping up and down on this clay along the shore. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't figure out what they were doing. And I went over there and I said, "What are you guys doing?" And my dad's like, "You know, we're trying to jump up and down on this clay and we're not even making a dent in it." And I'm like, "You know, so?" And he pointed, he goes, "Look at those footprints." And I looked, and this thing left, my dad and his friends, they were jumping up and down and couldn't dent this stuff. Right. And this thing left footprints in the clay that were about 3 inches deep.
Wow.
At a walk.
Wow.
But you know, the footprints were pretty far apart. I mean, hell, I'm only 5'3". I couldn't do the splits and cover one track.
Right.
And they went like over into the woods, and one of the guys had a shotgun. He goes, "I'm going after it." And his dad looked at him and said, "You're not going anywhere." But I thought it was kind of interesting because the whole time we were standing there in the Bigfoot Society, they made plaster casts out of these prints, and I believe they're still in the anthropology lab at Washington State University. Mm-hmm. But not one of them turned their back towards those woods. Not one of them.
Now that.
And then
let me ask you something real quick. When you made eye contact with it, when it turned around and looked at you, did it act like it was trying to make any motion towards you at all?
No, it just turned around and looked at me.
Okay, so it just stood its ground. It never took a step or anything?
No.
Okay. I've always wanted, they seem, you know, when my two sons had their sighting, the one that they saw did the same thing. It just stood there, and it just stared at them.
Well, you know, because we, after everything calmed down and everything was calm, and because I didn't leave the cabin for like 3 days, I just didn't want to. And we had been talking about it, and we went to this restaurant over across the bay, and my dad brought me a newspaper, and he said and there was an article about it, and he said, "Look, 4 other people saw this thing walking along the shoreline." And everybody was asking me what did it look like? I mean, what did it do? But it was really weird because every time you go down to this camp, It's an old camp. I mean, the cabins don't have any windows or doors or anything, and there was just like the bunk beds with the springs, but we always got this really weird feeling like we were being watched.
Right.
So when these guys threw me out in the water and took off, every time I think about what happened, it makes me curious, because you guys are like Bigfoot experts and stuff. Do you think that maybe it was there to make sure I was okay?
Well, first of all, I will tell you that I don't feel like an expert.
Well, you know more than I do, right?
Well, maybe. I mean, not really. I mean, you've seen one, so
yeah,
right away,
you've
got one over on me. I've never seen one, so. But I mean, that is a good possibility. I mean, you were being thrown into the water, and it may have been concerned and just wanted to see if you were okay, see if you got up and walked out.
Because I'm only 5'3" and I weighed about 90 pounds, and this thing's 8 feet tall and weighs 900 pounds.
Right.
I mean, clearly, it could have ripped me in half like a phone book.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, they do seem to have a very curious interest about people, and especially
kids.
Emotion. Yeah, especially kids. If they hear the laughter, the playing around, and the fact that people were throwing you into the water. I mean, they may have been curious and wanted to know what in the world are these people doing, just kind of keeping an eye on you. And and you may be right. They might want to make sure that you were okay.
I mean, you think maybe it appeared to this thing that they were throwing a baby in the water?
It could have very well been, yeah.
Because, I mean, it turned around. I mean, I thought it was a bear because it was it looked to me like it was loping, like, but my dad said, if you see some black bears, just stand still. And so I was terrified. And then and I realized it didn't have the paws like a bear. It didn't have claws. It had like these big hands.
Right.
I mean, it just rose, and it just kept rising, and I was like, damn, that thing's kind of big, and it turned around. And we locked eyes. I mean, we locked eyes for maybe the whole 5 seconds I locked eyes with this thing, but, man, my first instinct was, bye.
Now, when you locked eyes with it, and I know that it scared you real bad, so you may not get a good look, but when you saw its eyes, how did the eyes appear?
They looked like it had almost like a human face, but it didn't have like it had like a smashed nose. Mm-hmm. Like not a protruding nose, but like a smashed, like a monkey nose, like a smashed nose.
Right.
But it had these, but the eyes, they weren't like, glowing red and spitting fire. They were just like, they almost looked like they were brown.
Okay. So you didn't see any like whites in the eyes? No,
well, he was probably, maybe 30. I don't know. I would guess that you would say about 30 feet.
Okay. And you just saw like browns, like. But
yeah.
Most people describe that, as having like either a dark lensed color.
Yeah, there wasn't a scrap of fat on that thing. I can tell you. I'll tell you two things I remember. That thing was not female, mm-hmm. and it did not have a scrap of fat on it.
Okay.
And it was huge.
Right.
And it was huge.
Right.
And I was like, later.
Right. Yeah.
Tiger Cat. What is one of the things that led you to believe that it was not female?
It didn't have any. It had like pectoral. You always think of a female. Well, okay. You always think of a female anything as having breasts, and this thing didn't have anything protruding in its chest. It was just like muscly, like
like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, well, I have learned that now that there are people that have seen females and they clearly have breasts, but this thing didn't have anything protruding. It was massive.
Right.
I've never seen anything that big.
Right.
It was an experience, and I'll never forget. I'll never forget it. That's a true account of what happened, and I'll never forget it for as long as I live. That was back in '76.
And now my question is, has this made you want to search, or has this made you afraid to go in the woods?
No, in fact, me and my friends have actually gone out looking for this thing. We've gone so deep in the woods out here in Washington State that in broad daylight it actually starts to get dark. But we always make sure to check with the rangers so they know where we're going, and they always tell us, you know what, don't go way deep woods, because it's not just Bigfoot that you're going to have to watch out for. You're getting into black bear territory. You're getting into cougar territory. You're getting into coyote territory. You know, you can get seriously hurt that deep in the woods. So I've never seen another one. I've sensed the presence of something watching us, and you tend to smell strange things. But it's fascinating to me now. I think I'd probably be scared if I saw another one, but you kind of have to believe your own eyes. And I know what I saw. I mean, it was standing right in front of me.
Hey, DB, do you see the question in the chat?
I see a couple of them. MBNRT asks, was it a group of girls that you were with, or was it a mixed group, or?
I'm sorry, I was just standing up. There was 1, 2, 3. There was 4 girls, and there was five guys.
And what would be the age range?
My girlfriend was, she was my neighbor. She was 15, and the oldest would have been about 23.
All right, so some of your voices might have still been a little bit high, but it sounds like most of you had passed through that, point where your voices, they aren't way up here anymore.
No, none of the guys had voices like that.
Kids. You might have been laughing, though, and laughing, I think, is something that can draw their attention. And certainly, if you screamed when they threw you in the water, I mean, that could have gotten them coming over to look.
Yeah, in fact, we always, kind of went, woo, sort of.
Okay.
But I was the smallest, and I was so small that they really threw me out there. That's why they kind of waited to see if I was okay, because they threw me so far out. Right. And then as soon as I popped up, they did the complimentary see ya and ran up the hill.
So when they run up the hill, they're probably not in view of that area where you're coming out.
No, in fact, you have to come up out of the water and around because there's a cabin that used to sit almost right on, well, not right on the bank, but you kind of have to walk about 5 feet up over this little hump, and then there's a cabin sitting there. Okay. So it would have been blocked. I would have been blocked from view, but when I came up, everybody was gone. I mean, they were gone.
Right. And nobody ever mentioned seeing or hearing anything, right?
No.
Afterwards, okay.
Because when I ran up that hill, the trail that you take to get to this little camp thing it's a horse trail. It's probably 2 feet wide, and it goes through the woods. And I bowled everybody over. I mean, I was moving.
Right.
I was pushing these guys to the sides. I didn't stop till I got upstairs into my bed.
They probably ran when you bowled them over. They probably got up and ran right behind you.
I think so, because I heard a bunch of screaming downstairs. Because my dad was screaming at my sister, "What'd you do to her?" And the bed was hopping. And for about an hour, nobody really, I'm sure they were downstairs going, "I don't know. We don't know." I mean, so I think maybe they were mad because they left me alone, but. Everybody got thrown in the water. I mean, I ran up that hill with everybody else when we threw everybody else in. It was just my time to get thrown in.
Right.
So.
Now, did you throw other people in before you were thrown in?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so y'all had been doing that for a while.
Oh, we'd been doing that for about a week.
Okay, so yeah, this thing was DB. It sounds like this thing probably was. Probably observing them for some time.
You think it'd been? Yeah, because like I say, every time you go down there, or every time we'd go down there, you got the feeling you were being watched.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the whole place, the whole Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, is just a freaky place to be. So.
Well, that might be why it's freaky, because however it is they make people feel that way. Of course, we speculated last week that it was infrasound that caused people to think that they're being watched. But whatever it is that they do that make you feel that way, I think that they do that, and so that's why that place is a freaky place, because they're doing whatever it is that they do to make you feel uncomfortable there.
Right.
Yeah, it was a you get down to where these cabins are, and you just kind of start looking around. And in fact, when my dad and everybody with their Bigfoot Research Society was down there, I kept like darting my head back and forth really fast, and my dad's like, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm watching for this thing," and I wasn't even conscious I was doing it.
Right.
Mm. And he was like, "Man, but they interviewed me and just wanted to know what I saw, and they saw the footprints, and these footprints must have been about 17 inches long."
Now, I know it's been a long time ago, but do you remember who the researchers were that interviewed?
No.
I'm just wondering if one of them might have been Peter Byrne or any of those guys.
Well, I know that Grover Krantz has taken a look at those footprints.
Okay.
I do know that.
Right.
I was interviewed for a Bigfoot magazine, too. An article appeared in this magazine about me and my experience, but they were real nice to me. They made perfectly clear that my dad said it was okay if they interviewed me, and my dad was actually standing right there when they did it, because I was just like, I didn't want to go back down there. Yeah. I didn't want nothing to do with that cabin after that. And in fact, that was I believe that was the last year that I went to the cabins at Coeur d'Alene, and then my family went one more year, and that was it. That was enough.
Now, have you been back there since?
No.
No.
I'd like to now, though.
Right. Yeah,
in fact, I'm working on getting back there. I don't know if any of it's changed. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they've built on the land now or what, but I do remember where it is, and I do plan on making a trip there.
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. That your story is very interesting. You've captivated everybody in the chat room.
It's true, though. I mean, it's weird.
Show.
I saved your show.
That's right.
Exactly. You got us back on the subject of Bigfoot.
Well, we're actually, I'm with GRI Paranormal, and we're doing a Bigfoot show this next Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time. If you guys want to call our show.
Okay.
We'll just talk about food.
We'll talk about food.
All right.
Can you handle that?
You guys going to talk about the buffet and?
Yeah, exactly. That's our thing.
We'll have a buffet review.
The only thing that I would agree with you on that is they do have to tell you how long you have to stay there for.
See, I told you. It's not just me.
No, it's true.
It's not just me, guys.
I don't think it's fair that they start walking around and looking at you like it's totally obvious they want you to leave, and it's all you can eat.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you take a little nap in between feedings, they shouldn't like bug you about that either.
Well, you have to get up and shake your legs, and you have to move around and.
Tell them that's why you got the booth.
I'm telling you. So yeah, it's been. I enjoy telling my story. It's quite true.
No, I believe you. When I say a story, I don't mean you're making up a story.
Oh no! I wouldn't make something like that up. No.
I call everyone's experience is like a story, and it's very interesting, and it makes everyone captivated to the information. So.
Well, I asked. No, it's GRI Paranormal. GRI Ghost Rider Investigations.
Paranormal. And is that show on Blog Talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to blogtalkradio.com/rider, you'll get to it.
Rider, okay.
I thought maybe if I could real quick, I'd just like to ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
Judging by my experience with this particular Bigfoot, do you think that it makes a difference the way a Bigfoot would react to you if you were carrying a weapon or not, because I clearly didn't have anything on me.
Well, you were just your thongs, right?
Just my sandals.
Oh, okay.
And a towel, and I had my bathing suit on, and that's all I had.
All right,
that was
Bruce.
it.
Pipe down back there. It might make a difference. Some people say that when you carry in a weapon and you know it, you'll carry yourself differently. I'm not sure how true that is. But if you look like a kid, I think that you're already in the non-threatening zone for the Sasquatch. But he would have known, because they're very observant and they're not stupid, he would have known that those other kids went up in the woods and they didn't go any further. They stopped. So the fact that he came out where you could see him suggests that he had an interest in you, and you're suggesting that he was worried about you, like, they just threw the little one in the water. What the heck are they doing? I think that's probably as good an answer to that as any.
I agree with DB.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that, because for years, when I ran up that hill, I never looked back, and I totally expected this thing to grab me and, eat me or something. It was huge.
Right. Everybody always thinks
damn.
That's the next thing that'll happen. I have a story that I can tell you that you might not have heard that'll fit in with your experience maybe. There was a little kid. He was around 2 years old, and he's out camping with his parents, and he wanders away from the campsite when nobody's looking. And so the parents realize he's gone, and they can't find him, and they freak out, and they go off in every direction. Now, the story that the kid tells now, because he grew up and he gained the power of speech, the story that he tells now is he got lost, he tried to find his way back, and he couldn't, and he got scared, and then a big hairy guy came and picked him up and brought him back to the camp when there was nobody there now because they're out in the woods looking for him. And the big hairy guy picked up a nice-sized log and put the kid down and put the log on him so he couldn't go anywhere. So then the parents come back and they find the kid under the log. And they ask him, where were you? And all he could say was big monkey or something like that, Right. But so that's the story he tells now. Well, this big hairy guy got me and brought me back to camp.
Yeah, we had a similar story about a little girl that got lost up here off one of the logging roads up on Weyerhaeuser property up here in Washington State. I believe he was out by La Push, or she was. And their parents were camping, and they had a massive search for this little girl. Well, these loggers were driving down this old spur road and saw her standing by the side of the road, and she was fine. And she was about 5 or 6 years old, and she kept talking about the big dogs. The big dogs took care of her, these big dogs, and they noticed that she smelled funny. She'd been gone for about 4 days.
Wow.
But she was well fed. She wasn't cold. She wasn't shaking. She was a little bit dirty, but she smelled funny, and she kept talking about these big dogs that set her down on the side of this road.
Right.
So maybe they exhibit these parental instincts to where, unless, because I kind of equate to that movie Predator, when that Predator keeps killing those guys with the Gatling guns, but he leaves that woman alone.
Right.
Because she's not carrying a weapon.
Right. Yeah.
So, all I had was a towel. So, but, I totally realized that it could have killed me if it wanted to.
I think
this thing has
I got one more story for you. Here's a good one. I'll make it short because we're running out of time. There's this guy who sees a Bigfoot, and he's like, holy moly, and the Bigfoot makes a show, like, oh, get out of here, shakes a tree or whatever. So the guy thinks, well, that's it. I got to run or I'm dead. So he's running as fast as he can, and he knows it's behind him because he can hear it. And then he falls down. And as he's falling down, he tumbles, and he can see back behind him. So he looks, and the Bigfoot stops and waits for him to get up and start running again. And then it starts to run again. So it never had any intention of catching him. It was just running him out of the woods. And I think that's probably commonly what they're doing when they're trying to intimidate people, is they want you to get out of their woods, but they're not going to actually put their mitts on you,
Right. Let me make a quick announcement before we go off live. Next week, folks, you want to be here for this. Next week, we're doing a show called Bigfoot, Human or Ape. probably going to be a really controversial show. It's going to be called Bigfoot, Human or Ape. We're going to have Ron Lucy from Tennessee on here with us. He's a big ape advocate, so you're not going to want to miss that show.
And Billy, we're going to have also pictures of some of the people in the chat room, and we're going to have to choose human or ape.
Right. Right.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate you coming on and telling us the experience that you had. It's a very interesting experience.
Well, you can just call me Kat. That's my name.
Okay.
Kat.
Thank you, Kat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kat.
Appreciate it very much.
You know,
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
One of the encouraging things about Kat's experience is that if these creatures are attracted to adolescents, JC is actually going through puberty right now, so there's a good chance we go.
He's been going through puberty for 23 years.
He'll be he'll attract one of them, perhaps.
Damn.
He can't hear us now, though, so we wasted that one.
Well, I'm certainly going to send you a friend request because this is really, really neat. I love talking about this kind of stuff.
Oh, that'll be great. I'm gonna hook your show up into mine too, so I'll be sending you one as well.
Great, that'd be cool.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Thank you too, Kat.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right.
Well, it turned out to be a great show after all, DB.
Well, yeah, it had its moments where it was dragging there. We're talking about food all the time.
Yeah, I know. I ain't gonna name any names, Bruce, but you know.
Well, I appreciate that, Billy.
We also have to talk about the JC issue. I mean, every week there's somebody having to call in and say JC is the best Bigfoot hunter in the world. We got to put a stop to this.
Yeah,
I know. So we're gonna have to do something.
We're gonna have to pull a Mike Killen on JC, and
we're gonna have to do.
We got to
something.
ban that.
That's right. Yeah. Oh well. Well, Bruce, thank you for calling in because you brought the comic relief to the chat tonight.
And we needed it.
A lot of fun, guys. Thanks again. Great show.
All right.
Thank you.
Bruce. Well, DB, we're wrapping up another show, and next week is we're probably going to not even know we're on the air for 90 minutes next week.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those.
Be an interesting show. So.
Everybody's going to have an opinion. Right now, I'm looking at the chat, although I think they slowed down. So far, we only had a couple of people who are willing to make a determination, and it looks about tied.
Yeah, well, it's like I say, it's going to be interesting, and it'll be interesting to see who calls in on the human side. You know, we have Ron Lucy set up for, as the ape advocate, and who do we think will call in to be a human advocate?
I don't know.
It should be fairly interesting. But that's about all I have tonight. Do you have anything else, DB?
Well, I wanted to start talking about food. No, I don't have anything.
Bruce hung up.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
All right. Well, thank you again, as always, for being a good co-host.
Thank you. You're the best.
We will talk to everyone, see everyone next Monday night for that great Bigfoot Human or Ape show. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
A legend silently stalks the forest around the world, leaving giant man-like footprints in its wake. Skeptics scoff, while the true believers search for the answers, and those who have seen it will never forget. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, Blog Talk Radio. Billy Willard and the Blog Squatcher present Sasquatch Watch Radio. Your hosts Billy Willard and Dee Donlin bring you 60 minutes of the latest news and information, newly discovered evidence and interviews with those searching for the truth and those who have seen it. Do you believe? Want to know the truth? It's out there waiting. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Blog Talk Radio. Sasquatch Watch Radio. Sit down, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down. blogtalkradio.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio.